Cannabis has been intertwined with human civilization for thousands of years, with archaeological evidence suggesting its cultivation dates back to ancient times. The earliest known use of cannabis appears in Central Asia, particularly in what is now China, where hemp fibers were discovered in pottery dating to around 10,000 BCE. These early civilizations recognized the versatility of the cannabis plant, utilizing its strong fibers for textiles, rope, and paper production. Archaeological findings indicate that ancient Chinese texts from around 2700 BCE mentioned cannabis as a medicinal plant, prescribed for various ailments, including gout, rheumatism, and malaria. Emperor Shen Nung, considered the father of Chinese medicine, documented the psychoactive properties of cannabis in his pharmacopeia, suggesting its use for pain relief and spiritual practices. The spread of cannabis throughout the ancient world followed trade routes across Asia, Africa, and eventually Europe. In India, cannabis held sacred status in Hindu traditions, with references to it appearing in the Vedas, ancient religious texts dating back to 1500 BCE. The plant was known as bhang and was consumed in various forms during religious ceremonies and for medicinal purposes. Ancient Egyptians also utilized cannabis for medicinal purposes, with evidence suggesting treatments for inflammation and glaucoma. Traces of cannabis have been found in the remains of Egyptian mummies, indicating its widespread use in their society. Similarly, the Scythians, nomadic warriors of Central Asia, incorporated cannabis into their funeral rituals, burning the seeds to create intoxicating smoke, as described by the Greek historian Herodotus around 450 BCE. Cannabis arrived in Europe primarily through the expansion of the Roman Empire, though its use was mainly limited to hemp fiber production, rather than for its psychoactive properties. Throughout the medieval period, hemp became an essential crop across Europe, providing materials for sails, clothing, and rope that fueled maritime exploration and trade. The plant journeyed to the Americas with European colonists in the early 1600s, where it was grown primarily for industrial purposes. Hemp cultivation was so vital to the early American economy that in 1619, the Virginia Assembly passed legislation requiring every farmer to grow hemp. Even founding fathers, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, grew hemp on their plantations, recognizing its economic importance. Cannabis as a medicinal and recreational substance gained popularity in Western medicine during the 19th century. European physicians, particularly in France and Britain, began studying its properties after exposure to its use in India and the Middle East. By the late 1800s, cannabis extracts were widely available in American and European pharmacies, prescribed for conditions ranging from pain and insomnia to appetite stimulation. The early 20th century marked a turning point in the history of cannabis, as attitudes began to shift dramatically toward criminalization. This transformation was largely driven by economic interests and racial prejudices, rather than scientific evidence or public health concerns. The decline of cannabis began in the United States, where a perfect storm of factors converged to demonize the plant. In the 1930s, the development of synthetic fibers, particularly nylon by DuPont, created powerful industrial interests opposed to hemp production. Simultaneously, Harry Anslinger, the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, launched a propaganda campaign associating cannabis use with Mexican immigrants and African Americans, stoking racial fears among the white population. The media magnate William Randolph Hearst, who had significant investments in timber for paper production, also supported anti-cannabis campaigns through his newspapers, viewing hemp as a threat to his business interests.